right, MMA Maniacs, here we go. Another installment of Split Decision, brought to you weekly here from, you can go to splitdecisionmma.com. You can also go to Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, or iTunes, and subscribe there and never miss an update. Find us on Facebook. Give us a like. That would be the Split Decision MMA podcast. And you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram, SD_MMA. From the Ruloff Family Inc. studios, it is Bueller and Dodge on the mics, breaking you down some UFC news, reviewing The Ultimate Fighter, as well as looking forward to UFC 179 tomorrow. Before we jump into everything else, if you swing by Americana Apparel, is that AmericanaMMA.com?
Yes, sir.
.org.
AmericanaMMA.org. If you go over there, you get 10% off of their apparel if you put in the code SDMMA. All right, so swing over there. Again, AmericanaMMA.org. You get 10% off of their apparel if you put in SDMMA as the code. Also, if you're a fighter looking for sponsors, we hooked up with another website, MMAsomnia.com. They are there to help you find sponsorships to get you paid in the cage, of course. Jumping off now, we also got some interviews for you to see online if you haven't checked them out yet. We talked to Felice Herrig again this week. That was a lot of fun. Bit of a rushed interview, but still a good time.
It's good, yeah.
And then Jessica Panay, right?
Yes.
That was didn't accomplish anything. And then Chad Mendes.
You know what? He told me the same thing. I liked it. I thought it was a good interview.
All right. I listened to it again, and I was like, man, she just really didn't want to answer anything.
Well, you
Didn't
could just
really go into depth. Let's just go that way.
And
She
I guess-
did answer.
She's one of those people that knows that other people are listening, and you're going to be held accountable for the shit you talk.
I guess
Yeah.
that's it. So she stayed as vague as possible. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dodge didn't help too when you got burnt down, and you thought, oh, when you're like, I don't want to become a bitch, and she's like, well, that's not nice. And Dodge is in the background,
And Chad Money Mendes, who's fighting Jose Aldo.
awesome interview.
Again tomorrow for the second time for the title, and you should watch that. Go check out the interview. That one was a lot of fun too. Chad's always
I could wrap it up for you right now. He said, Conor McGregor, I'm gonna punch that fucker in the face and I'm gonna kick his ass.
Jose Aldo.
I'm gonna punch him in the face and kick that fucker's ass.
But it was funny when he said he was going to rest his balls on my forehead. Do you like CDs and tapes? Yeah, why? I'm going to tape my dick to your forehead so you can see these nuts. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into it now. We got some news for you. Paulo Thiago is getting let go by the UFC.
Yep, no longer in the UFC. He's cut after 7 losses in 9 fights.
That just pisses me off. Let me tell you why it pisses me off.
Because he's a part-time fighter and a full-time badass in Brazil.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Right.
But
he's part of Bope,
But he showed up in the UFC.
counterterrorism unit.
And that's what he did. He showed up in the UFC when AKA was terrorizing every division and just destroyed all of AKA, beat the shit out of almost every single one of their fighters, and then he started losing everything. Like he killed Mike Swick.
Hey.
You know, who'd he beat?
Knocked out Josh Koscheck.
Yeah, knocked out Koscheck. I mean, he beat everybody in AKA.
Came in like a wrecking ball.
Seriously, and AKA was the camp at that time.
Yeah.
And one man, Paulo Thiago, just like ruined the hopes and dreams of San Jose, and then he loses 7 out of 9 and gets kicked out of the UFC.
Almost like it was karma.
I say he's going back to his real-time job, being a badass.
Being a badass. Hey.
Kicking down aluminum doors in Brazil.
Yeah.
So a little more about the Cung Lee saga. Remember, Cung Lee had tested positive for HGH,
Right.
and then the UFC came back and said, well, our testing probably wasn't the best.
Because just like I told you,
And
they're putting big
it was
study.
inconsistent, and so we're going to relieve his suspension and bring him back. They're basically saying that, and the COO of the UFC says, look, it was the best that we could deal with at the time. We went to the facility that was in China that was available to us, and
Well, there's a problem right there.
they tested it, but they didn't test to see if it could have been anything else. They just tested to see if it was in his system. They said yes, so that's what we suspended him on. But they didn't test to see if for any reason there was inconsistencies or if
okay.
there
Well, it was like I just asked last week.
yeah,
They were basing off the level
right.
that was in his body, and like I told you, they've done big study to try to get these drug rules right,
Yeah.
and they've proven that people with their diet can have this
yeah.
elevated level.
So-
Was he jacked? Everybody knows he was jacked. You've seen those pictures. That wasn't natural.
And he says, you know,
Allegedly.
the
Allegedly.
CEO says that, you know, this is why we keep saying we need a third party system. We
Right.
don't want to be doing this. We're in the fight promotion business. We're in the, you know, the media business. We're not in the testing business. We need third party. When it's done by athletic commissions, we know that it's done correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the other hand of that coin, you know, obviously Cung Lee's extremely happy with the decision to take back his suspension. He says he wants an apology, and his manager's the one basically screaming for it, saying that it's not fair. He's like, we've proved that my client did not take performance-enhancing drugs. We question the proprietary of the testing procedures. He's like, they should be left up to third party. There's no way the UFC should be doing it, and they should have confirmed that they were done due to inaccurate statements, and that they should apologize. We have not, obtained an actual formal apology from them, and that's what they want.
Well, Cung Lee, I would like to formally apologize
could be
to
ruined
you.
because of this.
No, it's not going to be ruined. Why? His suspension got removed.
They should form letter, we're sorry.
Yeah.
I formally apologize on behalf of the UFC. His career is ruined because he loses. It has nothing to do with this. Your career is ruined because you lose your fights.
And I mean, even though he lost the fight, I mean, he still got a lot of people gave it to him because of how tore up he got.
Yeah. Took it.
He still loses.
No, I
Daniel Cormier has been named the permanent co-host of UFC Tonight. Remember, this has been kind of a rotating slot since Chael Sonnen left. We had, obviously...
you think I'm just going to sit here and let you kill me, Karen Bryant?
Gilbert Melendez was on there. They had Dominic Cruz on there. But now, joining Karen Bryant and Kenny Florian is going to be Daniel Cormier. Permanently.
Cool. Good for him.
So I'm sure that they will have, Brian Stan and some of the other guys coming in and doing guest spots like they have been doing, but he will be the permanent co-host.
He's definitely one of the guys in the UFC that can speak well in front of a camera.
Yeah.
So I mean, why not give him the chance? I mean, there's been a lot of guys cycling through the UFC doing interviews and doing on camera stuff, but there's only been a handful that could actually handle
do it well
themselves in that situation. Yeah, you look at Kenny Florian, you look at Chael Sonnen, Daniel Cormier. I mean, there's not a lot. Brian Stan does a great job. But
Couture did okay.
Yeah.
it's all right.
Frank Mir was a little awkward.
Yeah.
When he was with WEC doing some commentary
Just
things.
because he was giant in a suit and imposing at over.
Nobody was like Goldberg doing NFL though.
Hey, fuck you.
Joe Montana just threw a touchdown. Joe Montana doesn't play anymore. What? Fuck you.
That's on the Vikings. We got more beef news. We got Uncle Creepy calling out John Linkler. They are supposed to be fighting at UFC 56
Lineker?
November 8th. Lineker?
Lineker.
All right, Lineker. Whatever. He says, you know why he doesn't like him? He doesn't like his face.
Don't like your face.
Don't like your face. He's like, I don't know what it is. I'm going to rip off a movie here, but it's his face. I don't like his face.
I want to rip his
Something
face
about him. I've never
off.
liked the guy. I have zero reason. I just don't like the way he looks.
Well, that just means you don't like his pheromones, scientifically.
Maybe it's because he doesn't have the mustache like he does.
Maybe.
So starting off there, and then of course we have more Bisping Rockhold beef. This happened down in the studio with John Anik on Fox Sports 1. They've already taken down the video, which I was very upset about. It was posted there for a little while on our Facebook, where Rockhold's basically saying, "Who have you beaten that's still in the UFC?"
Many.
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 He said, "Who could he come up with?" He came up with Cung Lee.
Many.
Many.
Oh my god!
And then
that's
the
funny.
response to the other guy was, a lot. Who have you knocked out? A lot. Many.
So,
Many, a lot.
it's going to be interesting to see. They obviously do not like each other. Bisping seems to have been pulling back a little bit, saying, look, I've already apologized multiple times for saying I was the undisputed Strikeforce champion because of the one sparring event that we had. I said it was a joke. You need to get over it.
Why do you apologize?
And
I don't get
Rockhold's
that.
like, nope.
Because we live in an apologetic
And then
society.
Rockhold made fun of his beard, made fun of Bisping's poor attempt at a beard, which was entertaining.
I didn't even know he attempted a beard.
Yeah. And so
English
hopefully,
can't grow facial hair.
hopefully next week we might be able to talk to one or possibly both of these guys. We're trying to line up some interviews here.
I would love to talk to Bisping.
Would you rile him up?
Sure.
Really?
I like Bisping though.
I
Do
thought it
you?
was funny on the UFC Embedded episode. You know how
I
they do
basically just tell him I can't understand him the entire interview.
they do subtitles for fighters.
Yeah.
They had subtitles for Nate Diaz when he was training with Chad Mendes, but they did not have subtitles for Junior Dos Santos when he was talking about Glover Teixeira and Jose Aldo.
See, it was funny. It was funny to you because you speak Stockton.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rest of the country's like, what the hell?
What is he
I
saying?
don't understand. Oh, this is pretty awesome news, I think.
Yeah, so BJ Penn, Mike Dolce drama continues.
I thought this was a different story. Sorry.
Yeah, this is Mike Dolce he's come out and said, look, I don't understand. Like, I've chosen not to make any statements about BJ's comments when they were made. You know, the non-factual comments he said, I just shrugged my shoulders and shook my head. I kept moving forward. He says, I know what I did. I know the effect of what I do. I know the work that I do, and everybody knows what I do. You can ask athletes like Ronda Rousey, Johnny Hendricks, Vitor Belfort, Nick Lentz, Thiago Alves. None of them have ever had anything to say. And it's odd that one athlete has something negative to say. This athlete has a reputation of always saying negative things for people around them when things don't go their way. It's unfortunate. Those close to us, we know what happened. We know he knows what happened, and it's just that's good enough for me. However, BJ Penn came out and said, keep talking, and I'm going to have a heart-to-heart talk with you, your glass jaw, when I see you.
Whatever.
Is he just going to stand directly in front of him, straight up and down?
That's what I'm saying. You could get mad at Dolce all you want, but the fans know what happened. You came into the ring, you stood straight up and down, and you got your ass handed
Mike
to you.
Dolce says, wow, very classy. Where was this aggression the night of July 6th?
Hashtag Bully J.
Oh, hashtag Bully J. So I will chalk that one up for Dolce.
Well, and the thing is that BJ Penn is one of those people that you can't tell what to do anyway. So to bring somebody like Dolce in that's going to tell him what to do, BJ Penn has a reputation.
He's like, man, I got pizza and surf to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Nah, man, I'm not going to do that, man. I'm going to go surf, man.
I mean, didn't we watch the UFC, countdown or whatever when he was first supposed to fight George?
Right.
And Dana's calling him and he's sitting there floating in the ocean.
Yeah.
And they're all laughing. He's like, Dana's like, are you training? He's like, yeah, I'm training. Come on, Dana, I'm only taking a day off.
Yep, that's BJ for you.
I don't understand why two guys who are basically they've secured themselves work in the UFC. I don't understand why either one of them, especially Dolce. Like you said, he was quiet for so long.
I'm just
why not
tired
just?
of it.
I know, but just stay quiet.
He still is. He's just saying, look, dude, just shut up. Like,
because basically BJ Penn was like, hey, I got to put it on somebody. It was Dolce.
This is all Dolce's
It was all
fault.
Dolce's fault.
Dolce's diet made me stand directly in front of my opponent and get punched in the face a whole bunch.
But to Dolce, I would say, dude, don't worry about it. Everybody knows
you're
everybody
golden.
knows what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
More in the trash talker
He gave
news.
him some kind of weird dragon fruit that controlled his mind.
It's true.
The reason what I thought that story was before we move on was just because of the screen cap in the YouTube video. I thought it was Shane Carwin.
Oh yeah, talking about how he should have kept punching Lesnar in the face and how he would come out of retirement to fight Brock Lesnar.
I'd watch that.
Hell yeah.
Just a one-off for both of them.
Yeah,
Give them both $250,000 or something.
I don't know.
Lesnar needs like $500,000. You know that.
Yeah.
It's the win bonus.
That seems to be everybody's number.
Yeah, $500,000.
$500,000, $500,000.
There's not a lot I wouldn't do for $500,000. I'd fight Brock Lesnar.
You'd run from Brock Lesnar.
I'd let him hit me once. I'd wake up stupid. Probably need that $500,000 for
Wake up stupid. You might wake up smarter. Poor choice of words, my friend.
Entirely possible. It's entirely possible.
More of the trash talkers. Conor McGregor has another fight. They're booking him against Dennis Siver. This is supposed to be, it's not 100% yet, but they are looking at Boston Garden, January 18th, as a co-main event, possible headline. This would probably be a fight night card, something along the lines of Fox Sports.
I don't see what this does for Conor McGregor.
Well, here's the thing. We'll get to that in a second. They're talking about, a lot of people are saying this is going to coincide with the AFC Championship football game. Is this a viable date that the UFC actually wants to go head-to-head with?
It would be a test. They already went head-to-head with Bellator.
This is the NFL.
I understand. I understand.
With football before, though, and actually put up some impressive numbers. Not
True.
a championship game.
True.
Granted,
That's what I'm saying. Like, just a random Sunday night game or a Monday night game possibly, but for a championship game, that's pretty tough to go against.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody that's not too happy about this for Conor McGregor, this is Ben Askren tweeting him saying, giving Conor McGregor another easy tune-up match against a non-wrestler is a really smart move by the UFC. Conor McGregor, hey, pubehead, I'm the number one contender. I could sit and wait, but multi-six-figure checks feel so nice in my bank, you wouldn't know. So the reason why he's taking this fight is because he wants a paycheck. He understands he's not going to be one of these guys that's constantly just waiting for his opportunity. He knows he's the number one contender. Mm-hmm. He knows what's going to happen. He's going to have another fight so he can get paid.
That's what you do it for.
It doesn't, again, like you said, it doesn't do anything for him other than collect a paycheck.
Yeah, okay.
Again, keeping with the trash talk with Conor McGregor, they were recently in a Skype interview with Conor McGregor and Chad Mendes. This is before the Jose Aldo fight that's happening this Saturday. Chad Mendes and Conor McGregor kind of going back and forth. Obviously, Conor McGregor has previously called out Chad Mendes for his height, saying that he's a midget, even though he's only 1 to 2 inches taller than him.
Right.
So immediately, Chad Mendes tried to change it up and said, do you even know what wrestling is? And what does Conor McGregor say? I'm going to rest my balls in your forehead.
Which Chad Mendes quotes in our interview with him as well.
Yeah. Which is pretty funny. But again, he's just kind of skirting around it. Again.
Did he say, like, I'll rest my balls on your forehead?
Causing more controversy on the latest episode of Embedded, which is following the fighters for UFC 179. They're following Jose Aldo. They're following Chad Mendes. They're following Phil Davis and Glover Teixeira because it's the main and co-main event. We have Conor McGregor has been invited to go down to the UFC 179 in Brazil, which we've talked about before. He's going to be down there live cage side because he is the number one contender to possibly call out or have a confrontation with whoever wins the fight. They show him landing in Brazil in the embedded episode. And at first he's kind of talking a little trash. He's talking with the driver of the car, and he's talking about how they have bulletproof windows. And he's like, oh, they're bulletproof. He's like, yeah, you know the king's in fucking town when you're riding around in a bulletproof car through Brazil. Number one. He's all, number two, he's like, you know why I'm here? He's like, I'm bringing the numbers. I'm not even on this fucking card. He's like, but I'm on the embedded show that you're watching. You got to give it to him. He knows how to talk, and he knows what he's doing. He's spinning himself and putting himself in the limelight.
He's a great heel.
Again, and one of the things he talked about when he was with the Mendes interview, he's saying, where are you staying? He's like, I'm staying in the Fertitta Suites. You're staying with the fighters in the little hotel? That's great.
What an asshole.
I'm staying in the suite paid for by the Fertittas.
What an asshole.
So again, he's keeping himself.
You gotta respect the hustle, though,
he's
man.
keeping himself in the limelight. He knows what he's doing, keeping his name out there constantly.
Like I told him, he just enjoy being flavor of the year, the month.
Yeah. You live it up as long as you can.
Oh, yeah.
And you should.
And Chael's come out in his recent show and said, you know what, he's doing what he needs to do. It's smart of him. I applaud him for doing it.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So then we have UFC 180 was supposed to be our big event November 15th in Mexico City, Mexico for the title. Cain Velasquez against Fabricio Verdum. Unfortunately, Cain is out with another injury. He is going to be pulled from the card, and we have an interim belt being put on the line. Mark Hunt getting a title shot against Fabricio Verdum. I will literally lose my fucking shit if he wins this belt.
If you would have told me that Mark Hunt was going to be fighting for a belt when he came into the UFC at 4-4, I would have made a bet that I would eat my fucking shoe at that point in time. And I would literally be eating my shoe right now. If somebody would have been like, "Oh yeah, man, Mark Hunt will be fighting for the title in no time." He's 4-4. Jesus, it's insane to me. But it's been a year since Cain Velasquez was able to defend his title, so I mean, it makes sense for the interim.
I honestly think Mark Hunt has a chance against Fabricio Verdum.
Huge chance against Fabricio.
We know he's got heavy hands. I mean, you got a guy like Roy Nelson who has amazing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, decided to try and stand with him and get knocked the fuck out.
Right. Which was stupid.
We know Verdum has been hit before. He got knocked out by Arlovsky back in the day, right?
Yep. And but that's the thing, is that we also know Mark Hunt's kryptonite is a Kimura.
However, you have to get him to the ground.
Right.
He's not easy to get to the ground. Now, you could say, Fabricio could stand and try to kick and try to stay at bay, but Mark Hunt, remember, was in K1. He can take kicks and he can lash him out pretty damn good.
But we've seen Mark Hunt get subbed a lot, and we've seen him get knocked out.
Not recently, though.
Not recently, but we've seen him get subbed a lot, and we've seen him get knocked out. So it's not like he's coming into this invincible.
First ever knockout, though, against Junior Dos Santos was pretty crazy. I mean, I think he just got caught there at the end.
Totally,
you know what I mean?
And Junior Dos Santos is like the heaviest hands in the UFC right now.
Yeah, I think Mark Hunt's going to give Fabricio Verdum a run for his money.
This is interesting. This is a fight that I never... ever thought that I would see.
What do you think this does for the Mexico buy rates, though? I mean, obviously you had Cain Velasquez, a huge Mexican-American star.
Oh, it hurts.
Headlining a Mexico City event.
Yeah,
the coaches of Ultimate Fighter Latin America.
Yeah, now you got a Kiwi and a Brazilian.
But the Brazilian was at least on the show. At least they know who he is.
Yeah.
Mark Hunt says his only worry is he has to worry about dropping weight. He's over 300 right now.
Jesus, dude.
He needs to get down to 265. However, he did drop 20 pounds in like 2 days for his last fight against Roy Nelson.
Well,
so
he got all that to drop.
He's got a lot to drop. Another fight that is out. This was supposed to be Diego Sanchez originally against Norman Park. Norman Park, we also announced it was out. Joe Lauzon was stepping in. This was going to be the Terminator against Terminator 2. Both these guys were extremely durable. So, except for Lauzon's apparently not durable in training, and he is injured and out of his fight. The Diego fight has been scrapped.
But of course.
So, a little bit on that. UFC 182. Remember, this is the New Year's card that's going to be going down January 3rd with Ronda Rousey going up against Kat Zingano.
On Facebook, the UFC actual post on Facebook said UFC New Year's weekend card.
John Jones, Daniel Cormier also added to that event Nate Marquardt and Brad Tavares. Do you think this is a good fight for Nate Marquardt?
Yeah, why not? I mean, Brad Tavares has got some...
Been making a name for himself?
Yeah, he's got some good hands. He's got some good moves. And Nate Marquardt, he has to rebuild himself.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good coming back to middleweight. I mean, he submitted James Tahuna right away. I think this is an interesting fight.
Yeah,
Definitely an interesting
it's
fight.
a great way. It's a great way to find out exactly where he's going with his career.
And then we have an official date for UFC 184. This will be Chris Weidman against Vitor Belfort, as long as the injury bug doesn't fuck us again.
I will never believe that Vitor Belfort is going to fight until the time he's actually in the cage fight.
Well, remember, Chris Weidman is the one that actually got injured this time.
I'm still not going to believe it.
This is supposed to be going down in LA, UFC 184. They're talking...
Which Nevada was very happy about it.
Yeah,
sure.
They're like, they don't have to deal with it.
Big sigh of relief.
Yeah.
So they're talking February 28th for this bout.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's
which makes it a middle March.
No, this makes it their
fight.
Super Bowl card.
It makes it a middle March fight.
He's so angry. Yeah, no, but I mean, it doesn't matter who he's fighting. It's either him or his opponent that gets injured. It seems like it takes forever to get Belfort in a cage.
So, and then a little bit of news coming in right now as we have the surgery for Cain Velasquez apparently went well. He's targeting a March return.
I'll believe that when I see it too.
Moving on to the Ultimate Fighter that happened this past weekend. Did you even watch it? I mean, we had the World Series.
I watched it last night.
Was on while it was on, but they have been doing a lot of replays.
I was able to catch it because there was no game last night. So
Yeah,
I was able to watch it last night.
I mean, what do you think? We had an injury. Justine Kish is out. She has a torn ACL. She gets upsetting a lot of the cast, even the coaches, that she basically not that she's out, but that they're taking Tisa Torres, who lost her bout with Ronda Marcos, giving her a second chance. But not only are they giving her a second chance, she has to change teams.
She changes teams. She gets a second chance. It just shows a little bit of favoritism. I think it's stupid.
And now she'll fight her teammate Beck Rawlings.
And she lost pretty handily when she lost, didn't she?
I gave her the first round. Second and third, I definitely gave to Ronda.
I mean, I don't know, man. It should be a bye. We've had this happen before on the show where fighters have gotten buys.
But they've also had it come back too. They've had comeback fighters and guys have to come back and fight and fill in slots. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's why they stick around on the show now, and so they have an opportunity to keep training. Remember, so that they can come back in case there's an injury. And he always says, you never know what's going to happen. Somebody can get injured, you could come back and be the person to fill the spot.
Yeah, I guess you make a good point.
So then we had our rematch, Felice Herrig up against Heather Jo Clark. Obviously, Heather Jo Clark complaining about her knee injuries all the way up into this fight.
Yeah. Her whole team calling her out. My biggest problem with the whole team calling her out, like Melinda said, hey, come over here.
Yeah.
You need to hear this. And she sits down and everybody starts yelling at her and stuff. Like, I wish Melendez would have just been like, look, if she doesn't want to fucking train, that's her problem. That's one less problem for you guys to have to worry about.
Right.
This was addressed a little bit on Tough Talk after the fight. Did you get a chance to watch that?
I watched like the first few minutes of it.
She talks about it. She's like, I really don't think it would have made a difference. She's like, I would have rather just been left alone than have the whole team sit down and make a big deal about it. She's like, I already knew that they didn't like me. I already knew there was bad blood. I really didn't care.
Yeah, I think it was just dumb. Like Dana White said it in the room, was like, only one person's getting the belt.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. If she doesn't want to train, if that's
like,
her
fault.
Like we had the guy on the show who was smoking.
Yeah.
You want to fucking smoke the whole time that you're in the house? That's on you.
Yeah.
But when you get in there and your gas tank sucks and you can't fucking breathe, that's your fault.
Yep.
If you want to do the Aerodyne bike for fucking 2.5 hours where they're grappling, that's on you.
Yep.
There's like they're in there cracking whips and making everybody grapple and box and all that stuff. If they want to half-ass it and all that stuff, then they're going to lose.
Yep.
Right. I wouldn't be complaining if I was those girls. I'd be like, well, there's one less person for me to be concerned about then.
True. Okay. So then we did have our bout, and Felice Herrig came out, unanimous decision, both rounds. How'd you feel about the fight? Was it a little bit let down? You think a little more fireworks?
I think so. I think it was a lot of a letdown, actually. I think that Felice Herrig has a lot of hype behind her, and I felt, especially that first round, didn't really show...
Could have went either way.
Oh, definitely could have gone either way. And I think that first round didn't really show the explosiveness and the power that we've all been led to believe. That she, especially like looking at her in some of her interviews and stuff, like some of her poses, she's got guns. She's got huge arms.
She talks about, again, in the after show, first of all, Heather Jo Clark says, well, my knees were injured, and that's why I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I was unable to throw kicks.
I was at like 75%.
I was unable to do takedowns.
Basically.
No, I know.
Says, I think it's an excuse. She's like, I'll tell you for me, she's like, I was nervous. I didn't have my normal training partners. I didn't have my normal training camp. I wasn't as confident, but I did my best at the time. She's like, I definitely could have shown more, but I'm not going to use it as an excuse. I should have done more.
I think Heather Jo Clark just kind of pisses me off with her. She's like, "Oh, what you think?" When the lady asked her, "Do you think it would have gone differently if you weren't injured?" Oh yeah,
I would have
much differently. You've lost to her twice. Like it's time to admit defeat.
And that's what Felice Herrig says. You already lost me twice. It's over.
Yeah.
You know what? The feud is over because I beat you twice.
Right.
What more do I need to prove?
It's done.
And on the fact of what these fighters know about what their workout works for them, Cerrone proved it.
Yep.
When Dana made him go back into the gym and do a regiment, it was some of the worst fighting we've ever seen from him.
Yeah.
He went back out to wakeboarding and doing the shit that he does, drinking beer.
And
But he's on a tear.
Still
Good
training.
Tom Cerrone again.
So then, of course, we have our next matchup. Number 5, Lacey Daly going up against Angela Magna at number 12. You excited for that?
Yippee.
No, not really.
I want to hear the quiet. I want to see the quiet girl fight. That's
I still want to see.
she already fought once, right? But
what?
the quiet girl, the Irish girl.
Yeah, Scottish.
Yeah, Scottish.
Yeah, Joanne Calderwood.
I want to see her fight again.
I'm excited to see Beck Rawlings fight, especially against Tisha Torres now, and I'm also excited to see Rose fight.
See, but Beck Rawlings is ranked number 8, right?
Yep.
So that means the girl who was out was ranked lower.
Yeah, they were I think they were pretty close together.
Close,
Yeah,
were they? They were 8 and 9.
Yeah, or 7 and 8 or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that you talked to both
Felice
girls.
was 7, so yeah, 8 and 9.
You talk to both girls and you bring that up about what do you think about your rating? You know,
Yeah.
And then Felice is like, I thought it was bullshit, and then
Just fabricated. So
yeah, Jessica was like, no, it was dead on. That's where I was supposed to be.
So now we jump into UFC 179 going down on pay-per-view tomorrow night.
This is supposed to have been back in August, but Here Comes the Boom was there taking UFC 176, so we couldn't use that card.
Exactly.
Or Aldo's injured, whatever you want to believe.
Conspiracy theories.
UFC ?
Right.
So if you have UFC Fight Pass, you get to see these first 2 fights: Fabricio Camoes versus Tony Martin. What do you guys say on this one?
This is the pink slip match. Martin is 0-2 in the UFC, and Camoes is 1-3 in the UFC. Whoever loses is going home.
Or if it's a boring fight, they both are.
True.
Yeah, yep.
I'm going to be taking Martin in this fight.
Okay.
Gilbert Burns going up against Christos Giagos. Gilbert Burns, I do know, trains with Vitor Belfort. He is his little protege. I will be taking him in this fight.
Works for me.
Again, this will be Christos' UFC debut, so there's not a whole lot of tape to be found on him.
And if you have Fight Pass and you go get Chromecast and then you open it up on your laptop and then you open up the Google Chrome
and Josh comes over and dongles your Google or Googles your dongle,
Googles
whatever
your dongle,
it is.
and then you can broadcast it from your laptop to your TV, just not from your phone. Which is what I found out.
Prelims going up on Fox Sports 1. You got your first fight, Felipe Arantes going up against Andre Touchy-Feely. That's his nickname. I like it. It's funny, and I'll be going with Touchy.
Okay, we call him Touche.
No, it's Touchy.
Touchy. Right, yeah.
I'm going with Touchy in that fight.
Feely works, yeah.
Scott Jorgensen going up against Wilson Rise in this fight. Scott Jorgensen did not make weight originally. I think he's made weight by now. But I know he was 2 pounds over.
And you got Wilson Rice in this fight.
I'm taking Wilson Rice in this fight. I just think he's going to be able to outwork Jorgensen's pace a little bit and stifle his wrestling. I think he's got the better hands.
I think Jorgensen's lost a step too recently.
I really do, yeah.
So I mean, I can kind of see where you're going with Rice there. We'll see what happens.
And we have, in my opinion, a squash match just for the Brazilians. We got Jan Cabral, who's going to be the hometown kid, 11-1, 1-1 in the UFC, going up against Naoki Kotani, who is a veteran, 33-11-7. However, he's gone 0-3. In the UFC.
Just somebody that could fly over there cheap.
Yep, and get the hometown kid a win in front of Brazilians.
I bet if we look it up, he hangs out there.
Yeah?
I bet he stays there for some reason.
So I'll be taking Cabral in that fight.
Yeah.
William Macario going up against Neil Magny. Magny has, in my opinion, been improving and impressing me a little bit in his last couple fights, so I'm going to be taking him in this one.
Interesting matchup. Yeah, Magny makes sense.
And then you got your first fight on the main card. Carlos Diego Ferreira going up against Benil Darush. This fight's really close, man. This could be fight of the night. I mean, there's some other fights on here, obviously, that are really good.
Okay.
I think it's just because of how it could either be fight of the night or it's going to be extremely boring because they're really. It's not going to be one of those. Oh, yeah, it was all right. It's really going to be good, or it's going to be like, God damn it.
When's this fight going to end?
Yeah, because they are both almost the same fighter. They're really decent grapplers. They have good clinches, but they're both amazing on the ground. Both of them have a really, really good top game, really, really good submission game. Both really good in the scramble. That's honestly why I haven't picked anybody in this fight. They're both 2-1 or 2-0 in the UFC, so both up and comers.
I'm taking Carlos.
You're going to take Carlos Ferreira. That's where I was leaning to, honestly, but I think Darush has the opportunity to pull the upset and take this fight. All right. And then going up against Darren Elkins, we have Lucas Martins. Martins is 15-1, 3-1 in the UFC. Darren Elkins 17-4. I'm taking Martins all the way in this fight, all the way. Darren Elkins striking, in my opinion, is not that great. His head movement is fucking horrible.
Yeah, if
he gets punched in the face a lot.
If that's how he's going to come into this fight, then he's going to be.
He's a grinder. I mean, he's a wrestler, and he usually tries to use his cardio and outpace guys and last the distance and makes guys be a little bit tired. But Martins, man,
isn't a guy you can grind.
Not a guy you can grind. He's got really good stand-ups with really good counterpunching, so he's definitely gonna. And with a guy with poor head movement, that's not gonna bode well for Elkins. The only thing is he also, when he's pushing the pace, he kind of gets a little reckless sometimes. He gets hit himself, but I think he'll have enough to do.
He's probably going to have to worry about that too much with Elkins.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking Martins in this fight for sure.
Could see a knockout in that one.
Fabio Maldonado, 4-4 at UFC, 21-7 overall, going up against Hans Stringer. He's making his the second fight in the UFC. Is 22-5-3.
15 first-round finishes?
Hans Stringer has 15 first-round finishes. He's very well-rounded.
What about recently?
Decent kickboxing, heavy base. Does struggle a bit with his wrestling. Recently hasn't had that many finishes.
Okay.
But overall, in his 22 that he's won, 15 of them been in first round.
So he's like Bisping, where he knocked a lot of guys out in the beginning of his career.
Yeah. Fabio, we know this guy. He's a former boxer. He's all about the pace, all about durability. I like this that I found this. He's like a fat Diaz brother because he has that pitter-patter style, and then he strikes heavy on the ends of like the third and fourth ones. You know what I mean? Where he just kind of loads them up and then ba-bam! And not only that, but then he also tries the Homer Simpson defense where he likes to get the guys tired to wear himself out. He takes a shit ton of damage and just waits till the other guy gets tired and then puts him away.
You really put a lot into the literary that one.
Yeah, I really wanted you to understand what kind of fighter Fabio Maldonado is. He is a Homer Simpson fat Diaz brother.
Oh! You can just say Homer Simpson Diaz brother.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, I guess fat would be double negative on that one.
He's a Homer Diaz.
Yeah, he's Homer Diaz. I'll be taking Fabio.
Nick Simpson?
I think
Homer Diaz.
I think Homer Diaz here will definitely win this fight. He can get the other guy tired, and he definitely can get a decision.
It's officially his nickname now, by the way.
I like it. Done.
Homer Diaz.
We need shirts. Glover Teixeira.
I would love a Homer Diaz shirt.
Glover Teixeira going up against Phil Davis in your co-main event. Glover Teixeira is 5-1. Phil Davis is 8-2. We know Glover's got big power in his hands.
This is going to be an interesting fight, man.
He's got good boxing. He's good in the clinch. His top game is really brutal. I mean, he gets on top of guys and has an amazing ground and pound. Good arm triangle. However, Davis is really good on the ground.
Yeah.
Amazing wrestler, but his striking still sucks.
Yeah.
For some reason, and we saw that up against Rumble. I mean, he just really reaches for his punches. He puts no weight behind him.
In a fight that we thought was going to be a lot closer, Rumble and Davis, with Davis possibly even winning that fight.
Yeah.
Like a lot of his holes were completely exposed in that. And if his boxing is that bad and he's going to try to stand up with Glover, then
it's not going to work. His best bet is definitely on the ground where he has top game and submissions. I'm still going to be taking Glover in this fight.
I would too.
Your main event, Jose Aldo going up against Chad Mendes. This is the rematch since you have back from UFC 142 where they fought for the title. There's like 30 seconds left, and Jose Aldo hit him with the knee, dropped Chad Mendes, followed it up, got a TKO victory. Chad Mendes, he's looking for revenge, man. Yeah, and since then, he has stopped 4 of his last 5 with knockout or TKO.
Yeah.
He says he's the Mike Tyson of the division. Jose Aldo says, "Well, that's great. I'm the Muhammad Ali." That was his response.
It would have been funnier if he would have like thrown out some just like random sport, like I'm the Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah,
yeah.
But
don't compare yourself to Muhammad Ali.
Chad Mendes is not happy with the hype load that he's having to basically pull. He says he's the only one that's putting up the fight in the media. He's the only one that's promoting
About fucking time he does something. I love that part of the interview. It's like, are you mad he's talking shit? No, I'm glad he's fucking doing something.
Good. The thing that you have to think about Chad Mendes, though, is Division II wrestler. He has not been taken down once in his fight career.
Really?
Not been taken down once. That's a big stat to look at. Now, if he plans on...
He has 100% takedown defense?
Yes.
I didn't know that was possible.
If he wants to stand and trade with Jose Aldo, though, that's going to be very, very tough.
Like, if you get the UFC game and you go into career mode and you start building up your stats, can you do 100% takedown defense? Or can you only do it if you're Chad
Mendes? He's very, very technical, very good head movement. He's got amazing footwork and angles. His Muay Thai is good. His striking is good. His kicks are good.
His whip kicks are insane.
I mean, people are starting to criticize him a little bit for slowing down in the last 2 rounds to kind of eke out his decision. He does heavy the first 3, and then by the second and third, he kind of slows down, and that's where guys can win the fight. But you got to make it through the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's shown time and time again. You know, people were complaining, oh, he's not the same fighter since WEC. He was knocking out guys all over the place in WEC. Actually, it's about the same. If you look at his UFC career, he's had fight of the night, he's had finish of the night, you know, bonuses. He's done the same.
It's just haters want to hate.
You have to look at the competition he's having to go up against now in the UFC. You know what I mean? He's gone against Mark Hominick. He's gone up against Frankie Edgar. He's gone up against Chad Mendes. He went up against the Korean Zombie. Like, he's putting away guys.
Yeah. And we don't like it, but if there's a point system where you're going to be able to have some sustainability as a fighter in this league, and you can use the point system. Hey, if you haven't knocked a guy out in the end of the first round, if you can do it by points after that, you're gonna draw your future out a little bit further.
Well, I mean, even the third round, if you're going to go hard for 3 rounds and it's still not over, then it kind of makes sense to coast.
I'm taking
more defensive.
Jose Aldo in this fight.
I mean, that's a smart bet, obviously. So I mean, I got to
take Mendes. I
mean,
really would like to see Mendes.
I gotta go Mendes.
I'd like to see Mendes take, especially because he's around from the area. So he's from Sacramento, which is not far north for us.
It'd be cool for Alpha Male too to get another belt.
Oh yeah,
it'd be fantastic. I just don't know if he has what it takes to beat Aldo. He did a great job against him last time, like you said, until the last 30 seconds.
Yeah,
it was a great fight, and I'm expecting a great fight too. But I still think that Aldo's going to keep his belt.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
That's what we got for this week.
Wrapping it up. So thanks for listening. Of course, you can get us, tell your friends, get us at splitdecisionmma.com. Look us up on Spreaker, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. Of course, subscribe on iTunes, and you won't miss an episode. Get us on Facebook, Split Decision MMA Podcast. Yeah. Give us a like. Look us up on Twitter and Instagram, SD_MMA. And one more time, if you go over to AmericanaMMA.org, you can get 10% off their apparel if you put in the code SDMMA, which is super cool. Thanks to them for doing that. And if you're looking for a sponsorship, if you're a fighter, you want to make some extra cash when you get in that cage, MMAsomnia.com can do that for you. They are hooking fighters up with sponsors, and they're going to do that for you. So go check them out. Again, MMAsomnia.com. From the Ruloff Family Inc. studios, it is Bueller and Dodge saying have a good night. We'll see you at the fights.